We're gonna call the regular June board meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. The first, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it to Mr. Waymeyer and let him discuss the first item.
Okay, legislation passed Act 902, which is a public comment, which we've always been very lenient on our public comment policy anyway. But starting in July, we'll have a sign-in sheet 30 minutes before, and the only requirements is it's got to be a parent guardian of an enrolled student, or it's got to be a resident of our district or an employee of the district. Restrictions are they get 3 minutes to speak. Personnel and students are restricted. If for some reason that public comment goes after 30 minutes, then we can stop it. So we got 11 people. We can stop it at 30 minutes and move it to the end if we wanted to. So I just wanted to make y'all aware of that, but starting officially in July meeting, we'll have a sign-up sheet.
Did it go through? Because I read something there where, and it has to be a topic that's on the actual agenda for the meeting. Is that?
And no, it doesn't have to be that.
At one point they were talking
yeah.
about that, but it didn't ever go through that way. Okay. I just never did see the final deals. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the election of the board officers. We got to have a president, a vice president, and a secretary. So for president, I'm going to open the floor for nominations.
Who is it? You and
Me and-
Vice President and Nikki's secretary?
Mhm.
I'll vote we keep it the same. What do you think, Brian?
Can
I'll
we do
second
that?
that.
Just, we've done it in other things I've been on. Okay,
You have
I
to
got,
do it individually, but
do what?
you have to do each position individually.
Okay, so I guess that would be, the nomination is me as, continue as president. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody else? Any opposed? Motion carries. So the next one is for Miss Janet to be the vice president.
Second.
Okay, motion and a
Guess I
second.
can't.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one's Nikki, being the secretary. Nomination, but it's already done? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go. That was an interesting way to do that. Everybody have a chance to look over the minutes from the last meeting? See if anything needs to be changed or incorrect? If not, I need a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now to the financials, Mr. Waymeyer.
Okay. Board report, we closed out May with just over 1.6 million compared to last May at a little over 1.1 million. I gave you a 5-year total of the legal balance. Right now, legal balance is a little over 1.2 million, which is increased over that 5-year period. Expenditures, 665,000 compared to 651,000 last year. And revenue was a big difference, 966,000 compared to 240,000 last year. But I think in June we had a big check in '24. You'll see some check registry stuff that we're closing out. Our safety grant that we gave, we actually filed an extension today. We still got about a little over 10,000 that we'll do some cybersecurity stuff with to close that out at the end of July. Any questions about financials?
If there's no questions, I need a motion to accept the finances.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is, I guess, just continue on.
I'll continue. I'll talk about our ASBA policy guidance. I shared that with you. Anything in red is a new policy that ASBA recommends. And then there's also some handbook changes with the complete handbook too that you got a link to. What I want to do for this is just give you the month of June and not ask you to act on anything until July. But I know Chris is representing the PPC policy recommendations, and I'll let you, Chris, go with that. There's Oh, you got those.
There's only like 4 or 5 policies that came to PBC. The first one was the sick bank. It was just basically defining how the committee is made up, where it currently says superintendent appoints. It's always been an election, so we just made that match the way we've always done. And we dropped the bank level from 500 days to 300 days. Based on just looking at what has been used in the past and how high it's staying. We just struck a sentence in jury duty that said that we had to reimburse the district. That's something the district's never requested, so we took it out just to comply with what the district's always done. One thing that came up this year was, as of right now, like I have a day and a half I had to use this week, or I give it back to the district on my vacation days. So PBC decided to change that to say that 5 days will roll at the end of the year, and then anything over those 5 days will be paid to the employee. I guess in their June check. This is how that would happen. But so like I had 6.5 days left, so the way the policy reads is 5 of those days are going to go into next year's bank for me to make me 15, and then that day and a half that's over the 5 would be added to my paycheck in June.
What's the, that fine, is there a maximum number of days that you can acquire? I can't
You can
read
only
the
have
fine
more
print.
than, you can only have a total of 15. So
Okay.
July 1, I'll start at 15, so the most I could ever be paid out in July or in June would be 10. But that's
Okay.
not gonna happen very often, at least not for me. And then the attendance bonus pretty much got completely reworded. We worked with Mr. Waymeyer, and he looked at some other schools, and it currently says that you can miss 1 day in a semester and get $250 at the end of that semester, and then $500 if you have perfect attendance. To try and help, we've changed that to basically say, in the months August through May, if you have perfect attendance, then you'll get $100 added to your check following that month. So if we have perfect attendance, for what my contract says I have to be here in August, then in September, I would get $100 bonus added to my September check. It would only run through August through May, so those of us that work during the summer won't get, the bonus doesn't apply, and it doesn't matter what I take off, it goes against it unless it's something the school says I have to go to, like PE or something like that.
The total amount doesn't change. Some of the rationale was that basically they felt like if teachers got sick, say in September, then they had no incentive to come. So this just, we know things happen. I will say this year we spent $36,000 more on subs. So I hope we're giving that money to our teachers.
And that's it on.
And I can't remember how many we had took advantage of that incentive. You gave me that amount, and I let it. I think it was, well, I can't,
7,500.
maybe something.
That's it, just those 4.
Any questions? And again, y'all got 30 days to read that. If you see some stuff over the handbooks or any policy stuff, reach out to me or reach out to our building principals, because I know there's some changes in the handbook. Ms. Johnson, you want to talk about any of your changes that you made?
Yes, the biggest one for me was going down from 5, it was 4 days of ISS, at any point during the semester, and then the student could not go on any kind of trip or anything. And that was a big jump from the previous year where it was just 1. So the committee and me kind of decided that it was 4 they thought was too many. 1 didn't seem like enough, so we went down to 2 on that. So during the semester, 2 days of ISS or any OSS, they're not allowed to go on any of their trips. And so that was, I think, the biggest thing for me, other than adding a couple of things into the behavior section that coincides with our BX3.
So are we moving on to the board
Yep.
policy stuff?
Yep. Well, board policy stuff, same thing. I gave you a cheat sheet on that first link that just shows the new policy ASBA recommended. And then again, the other ones is just, you know, if there were some changes, some of it could have been statutes or something like that, but there's no major changes. There is now maternity leave, and so that's included. The state gave the district an option, and they would pay half the sub. Now they're gonna come in and pay the entire sub, so.
I don't remember where this was. I was looking, in the policy or somewhere. I can see more on my phone than I can on this thing, but, what did they come up with on the bell-to-bell, no-sale thing? Have they actually come up with a model policy yet?
I mean, we've got a policy, which the only thing that's gonna change is the first time they get caught with the phone, and Coach Campbell's not here to talk about it, but, the parent will have to come get it then, is what we'll have to do. Again, we gotta have adults be vigilant. You know, we've had a no cell phone during instructional time. You know, I mean, we've gotta do better jobs as adults.
I just wonder if they come up
Following
with
the rules.
suggested guidelines.
You've got some, I've talked to different superintendents, there's one that's in our co-op, we had a co-op meeting, and he's got lockers that's in his cafeteria, the cameras are right on, they gotta go in there and leave it right there, but, you know. And then some are making them turn it in first period, and then you get it back eighth period. It's hard to do in a high school. You know, it's hard to do in a high school. So, you know, our thing is gonna be out of sight. It's not gonna be in your pocket. It's gonna be in your backpack or in your locker.
Well, I didn't know what you meant about, you said something about those little bags,
Mhm.
until I saw it on some
Yeah.
video somewhere. It's a lock, kinda like they have the
It's,
safety tags.
it's got a magnet on it, and so what a lot of school districts are going with those pouches, the only issue about that pouches is they'll tell you how many magnets that you'll have, and there are some neighboring schools that's going with them. If they have success, that may be something that we'll look at. A big concern of mine is transition at the end of the day. We do a great job loading up our high school kids with elementary kids, and if we're limited to where these stations are to unlock their bag, you know.
I would think, give the kids a little bit of time, they'll figure out how to open
Oh,
things during the day.
hey,
anyway.
or they put the old phone.
Yeah, or put the whole phone in
Yeah.
there, and anyway, go ahead.
But that's what we got policy, but that gives you a month to read, and like I said, if there's any questions or anything that stands out, feel free to reach out to me or Mr. Campbell or Ms. Johnston.
I guess we're gonna move on to the action items.
Yeah, the first one, when I shared this with you, the state has issued, it's a standard cybersecurity policy, which requires districts to adopt a cybersecurity policy to keep certain procedures confidential to prevent security threats. This policy is not public record under FOIA, and it can only be discussed in executive session. So it's one of those things that we could talk about it, but it's not a FOIA type deal. And Chris could probably go into, I mean, we really can't talk about it in general session, but you have a chance to look at it. It's, I want to say it's standard throughout the state.
Act 504 2023 said the state was to produce, ADE was to produce a cybersecurity policy, and schools have to adopt it as it is. There's nothing we can do about it. So
So we basically
We
just
just have
have
to
to
comply.
have a motion
Yeah.
to adopt it as state law requires?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next thing, salary schedule, looked at a lot of different things for this, looked at a 1% across the board, 2% across the board. Some things kind of scare me about it. We have found out that teacher equalization money, that's when everybody had to get 36,000, they're gonna fade that money out. We get about 105,000. So we're gonna get 105 this year, they're gonna fade that back next year, and then, so in 27, 28, we're gonna lose that money. A lot of it, they say, may come back in learns. A lot of the bigger districts that were paying that 36,000, they didn't get that money to go increase. So I think that's kind of been the call to say, hey, we're not getting that share, which concerns me because it's $105,000. So on our teachers, our salary schedules throughout the board, they will remain the same with the same steps. I have a couple of increases that I shared with you. One is a food service manager, and this was brought to my attention actually this past year, and the salary schedule was already there, but the manager started out like $1.20 more, I believe it was. And then over time, she got a 10-cent raise per year. Well, the food service worker, she got a 20-cent raise. So it started out at $12.81, and then the food service worker got $11.43, and this is the old scale. And then after 10 years of service, that food service manager got $13.86, and then the food service worker got $13.49. So we got a situation where a lot of people, those managers, were like, we're making the same amount as the worker. So what I did on that is just that same pay difference. So it increased their pay from $14.87 to $13.86, which just follows that same percentage. The only other change in the salary schedule or two other changes. Pee Wee basketball. We've taken over Pee Wee basketball. Coach Quattlebaum was the first one to take over, did a great job. Coach Houston came over and took it. We did have volunteers in the past. I'd like to add a stipend for the Pee Wee basketball coordinator for $800. We've not done that football-wise. We've not had issues in football, but there could be a possibility that the school has to take over that as well. And then the only other thing, our shortage of everything, is bus driver pay. Actually, Mr. Snyder, he picked up a route, and his route was getting back later than everybody else. And we didn't change that pay during the school year, but what we've moved our pay scale is kind of a set rate at $28 an hour. Not every route's $28, but this way, over time, if you pick up a route, we can kind of change that. So it basically, last year, we paid a total of $56,582.75 to our bus drivers. This year, we'll pay $62,429.46. So a daily rate of about $25.46 is the difference for all our bus routes. And you can look at some of them. Our town route, it changes by 10 cents a day. Peach Orchard didn't change. Duffel route didn't change. The Augusta route, which was the big change for us, it changed. It increased $21.16, and then the Pumpkin Bend route, it increased $13.04, and then Hunter increased $1 and $1.17. And hopefully that'll attract some people, because right now we're struggling in the afternoon finding. We're pretty good in the morning because we've got some coaches and we've got some afternoon people filling in, but afternoon's tough. And I'll say this, Mr. Ball's done a good job juggling people, and we've had some people volunteer. Mr. Hartford's come back and run some routes. Our coaches have volunteered to jump in. We've got Coach Engel working on his CDLs, but
What is just pick one, like the Hunter route or the Augusta route, what does it pay?
the Hunter route
Per day,
$74.20.
per day.
And then the Pumpkin Bend route is $70.47. And then also Farrell Wiggins has jumped in and done a morning route for us, and he's coming back. And I've got that to hire. Augusta, like I said, this was the biggest increase. It went to $64.87, but it's a big difference when you got to go down Riverside. And then Duffel and Peach Orchard pays $56.58, and then the town route pays $36.10.
That's based on like the mileage.
Time is basically what it's done.
That's what I was, since they started going to Riverside, do they go in and come back out, or do they go?
I did it one time. Yeah, you go
They
in
don't
and
go
you,
over to make the loop. They just go in.
I go to Augusta and run down there and come back and get tires.
I didn't know how they were doing that.
To our Riverside?
and then the afternoon driver, they do earn a little more because they're watching kids, because we'll pick up kids We're supposed to pick them up at 3:20, but they're usually out there at 3:15, and then we get them up here at 3:27. So that's increased their route time a little bit. But like I said, we've done good. We've had some very dependable, I want to say Mr. Long, he may have missed one day. One day.
I guess like anything else, if you start having too much trouble, you start upping the pay.
Yeah,
Even more.
we either do that or we'll look at having to double some routes. And that would be the only thing that we'd have to do is we may have to drop elementary kids off town and then come back and pick up high school kids. It's the only thing we can do.
Hopefully we'll get to that.
No, I hope not. I hope not.
So I guess we need a motion to just approve that as presented.
Yes, sir.
While I'm working on my microphone, can I get a motion?
For those salary schedules as presented?
Motion.
I got a motion. Do I hear a second? I have a motion and a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Who was the second?
Brian, he raised his hand. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, and next thing, I'm gonna ask for you to approve a retention bonus of $600 per employee returning from the 24-25 school year. This will cost the district right around $54,000. We didn't make a change on salary schedule. This will also benefit them, teacher retirement, and that's one reason for that cost. We still got 24% of benefits that we have to pay. We'll still look at continuing our bonus that we did for the first time out operating in December this upcoming year, but we'll kind of look at our numbers and see where we're at. But again, approve a bonus. This would be in their August check. We're plans to give it that first week they come back PD for those that worked with us last year.
So I need a motion to do the retention. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
I've
Janet.
got a question.
Go ahead.
And that, like, on that can't be just a separate deposit?
I think we did last in Christmas, didn't we?
We did some this in June too,
Yeah.
no?
Yeah. Didn't we do it like that in December? I was- or-
Can't remember.
Okay.
And it's how much?
600.
600?
Motion, or we already have one?
No, we did. Go ahead. Okay, so we have a motion to accept it as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Moving on.
And this one, we talked about last board meeting about terms, and y'all get to set those terms, but we've got to set
It's either
them.
4 or 6,
4 or
isn't
6, and this is under Board Policy 1.19. I will include it in that policy, whatever y'all vote for, but I know when we talked about it, we talked about 6-year terms. And that puts 2 up in 26, 2 up in 28, 1 up in 30.
Yep.
The bonus will be direct deposit.
Okay. Direct deposit.
It'll be
Yeah,
a separate thing, but it'll be direct deposit,
gotcha.
because people don't cash the checks,
So-
and I have to chase them, and they lose them, and voiding a payroll check is horrible.
So we need a motion?
Yeah, we need a
Either
motion
board
to
member
move
length
the-
10 to 6
the-
years?
yes, ma'am.
Motion made.
You made it easy for me. I got a motion from Ms. Janet. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So to clear that up, we went the 6-year route.
Yep, got it. Okay, and the next thing is just our student insurance for the upcoming year. Health Special Risk is who we've used for the past 2 years. They have not increased their rate of $9,283. So my recommendation is to continue with them.
Do we have a motion to follow his recommendation to stay with the same insurance company for student?
Motion.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to informational
Okay.
items and reports.
Superintendent report, first thing is, which we do this every board meeting, we give a discipline report, but to our annual bullying report for 24-25. At the high school, we had 4 reports. One came back with a true finding. It was a cyberbullying situation. At the elementary, we had 8 reports with 0 true findings. Also, our dyslexia report, which we put on on our website. Connection is the program that we've used. We've used 2 certified, 1 classified employee at the elementary, 1 certified employee at the high school. 43 students were provided dyslexia intervention services at the elementary compared to 3 students that were provided dyslexia intervention services at the high school. Summer projects going on, flooring. Elementary got done today, waxing the floor. They moved everything to the high school, so we'll start doing that. Transportation, nothing major. Had 1 set of tires that'll need to be added on the bus. Had a couple alignment issues. The awning project, when we got all that rain, they're still waiting on materials. HVAC project, we're still waiting on the state, but we'll advertise for bids and probably the next 2 weeks, and then we'll go from there taking bids. Probably we're looking at November when that project will be done, HVAC wise. Did get some information on our bond millage from Beersley today. They're going to take bids and open them July the 17th at 1 o'clock. They'll be present in our July board meeting for you guys to sign off on everything. We will probably close that bond. We're looking at August the 14th. And so a lot of things will be turning there. We did have a soil, where an engineer came out, did a soil test at our parking lot just to make sure there's no structural anything there, and where we're looking at the concession stand. So well, it's going to be a busy 2 to 3 years. That parking lot projects we're probably looking at next summer, but hopefully that HVAC, when we start taking bids, that we'll be seeing people doing some work right then.
I know, talking about HVAC, there was a lot of happy parents and grandparents for the cheer stuff over when they were doing the cheer and the little presentation. There was because it was quite. It had rained that day or day before, and it would have been horrible in the gym over there. They were very thankful for their that we've got. So.
And then just a couple other things. We did have some teachers get recognized for merit incentive pay. We received $11,000 to pass out to 4 teachers. 3 of our teachers received $3,000 for overall growth score. That was Miss Davis and Miss Ruddick. Miss Reynolds got $2,500 for teaching in a shortage area. They just opened up 5th and 6th grade shortage area. And then Miss Miller received another $2,500 for teaching in a shortage area. And even though they're in a shortage area, they look at their teacher evaluation scores by their principals and go from there. But congratulations to those 4 teachers on that. Coach Campbell's is on vacation, and so his principal report, I've got it somewhere. Okay. He gave you a list of summer school. A lot of that was seat time, attendance. We had 16. I don't think we had 16 that completed it. There's a list of PD stuff that they've got going on throughout June and July. And then Mr. Harford and Ms. O'Shield did provide a training for other educators on June 12th on how to use one of our machines in the ag department. And then we got sports going. Football's been in a team camp and a 7-on-7, and boys and girls softballs. They've traveled about 2 or 3 times as well. So we'll start our PD. We'll finalize that schedule at the end of this week and get with principals. And June is over, and July will be here before we know it. Ms. Johnston?
I have very little to report. I know, right? Haven't had anything going on over there except for the floors are done now. The last couple of wings that they did are just drying and everything, so they're gonna let me know Wednesday that everything is good and the teachers can start coming in. As far as academics, everybody's going to PD. I did meet with them before the end of the semester so that their PD aligns with their goals for next year. Made sure that I met with every teacher, and so They're going to a lot of stuff. The only thing that we have required over the summer is our K-3 test list, which has to do with Atlas. All K-3 teachers are going to that, and that's in July. And so hopefully that can give us some information, because those were a nightmare last year. So I'm hoping that gets us some more info. And the only other thing I have, I've been talking about BX3 all year. So at Master Principal, I gave this presentation. We had to do action research over this year. So I did BX3. If you can go to that next slide, Chris. So these are our overall numbers for last year and then this past year. You can see how many obstacles we had, the top offenses, the top consequences, and the top locations. So both years the classroom is where the vast majority, almost half of the referrals are coming from the classroom. So you can go to the next one for me, Chris. So pretty much just where my action research came from is, are we contacting the parents? Are we sharing those same definitions of behavior? Are we making sure we're actually talking to the parents, not just sending something home to be signed? And then what interventions are we already doing with our kids before they end up in my office? You can go down one more. I can get y'all copies of this, but this is going to be in our handbook as well. So we have our matrix, which is just be kind and respectful, act responsibly, give your best effort, and show enthusiasm. Majors and minors for what we're going to do for those behaviors, the definitions, and then we're going to have a common sheet that all teachers are going to use to record. We're also going to be using CritterCoin to track rewards, and so this is going to be an online thing. They're going to be able to gain a coin. Everybody in the school is going to have access to this, so they're going to be able to buy rewards. Some of those are going to be tangible, like we're going to do some school merch type of stuff, and then they love fidget toys and things like that. But then we're also going to look at some non-tangible things, like being the first one in line to lunch, office helper, the older kids love that, hangout time with friends, or getting to eat like in a special place for lunch, extra recess, things like that. They're going to have to earn rewards or earn coins to go to a quarterly reward party. And so we're going to do those at the end of each 9 weeks, and then also earning a specific amount of coins to go on any kind of field trip, participating field day, things like that. And so, like I said, every adult in the building is going to have access to that, and every kid is going to have an account. So the people who are working in the lunchroom can give coins for a kid picking up somebody else's trash. Custodians can give coins. Everybody can. And so I'm really hoping that that'll really bring it all together. And then as far as going into the next year, we are still going to be meeting with our coaches once a month like we did this year, and doing our progress monitoring, looking at our data and everything like that, to make sure that we don't need to make any changes. And then this will be an ongoing process, and they've told us it can take 3 to 5 years to truly see the effects of it, but already we're excited about it, and so I think that it's going to be really good for the school.
And I think consistency is the key.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody getting on board. And I'll say this about Ms. Johnston, that she went through that master principal program, not like you wasn't busy enough.
Yeah.
So anytime you want to better yourself, that's what it's about. So I appreciate you doing that.
Good. I'm trying to get back to the agenda. The next item on the agenda is personnel. So we will go into executive session at 6:37. Action taken at 6:59. We have several motions that need to be made for hiring. Go through them one at a time. I need a motion to hire Miss Mary Fran Brogdon as a third grade teacher for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Miss Rachel Capps for an art teacher for the 25-26 school year.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The next one, Michael Ward for elementary music, choir, and assistant band for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Miss Lisa Tennyson for high school special ed for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, Miss Sydney Hopkins for a paraprofessional for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Miss Melanie Kane for a paraprofessional for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Are you, do I need to slow down? Are you good? Okay. Next is Miss Shirley Clark for a full-time food service worker for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And last but not least, Miss Kaylee Creel for part-time food service worker for the 25-26 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? And can we just do the bus as presented, like, or do I
Have your name.
just say it?
One motion.
Okay. I need a motion to hire the bus driver rehire list for the 25-26 school year. It'll be Mr. John Ball, Mr. Glenn Campbell, Miss Doris Clark, Mr. Coach Garrett Hart, Coach Tyler Houston, Max Long, Ronnie Massinelli, Chris Snyder, Scott Waymeyer, and Farrell Wiggins.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business before the board? Then we will adjourn by unanimous consent at 7:00.